What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with the mid-season update from last week, as well as the update that we got earlier this week, a bunch of existing things in the game ended up being broken with these updates. So in today's video, I wanted to compile a list of everything we know about so far that this update broke when it comes to weapons and attachments. For those people out there that follow a lot of other creators and have been really keeping your finger on the pulse of everything that's going on, most of this will likely not be new information for you, but I'm still getting a lot of questions and comments about these things with people wondering what's going on, and therefore I decided I still want to make this video, even though for many of the things I'm mentioning today, I'm definitely not the first to cover it. But let's start it off with the big group of things that broke, and this is a bunch of the weapon perks for Modern Warfare guns. This is something that happened with the mid-season update last week, where a bunch of these weapon perks, they just stopped doing what they're intended to be doing. So I went through and I tested all of the ones that at least made sense to test within Warzone, even though some of these aren't things that people really will use in Warzone anyway. I still wanted to put them to the test just to see if they did break or not. The first weapon perk that broke that was most noticeable, and I had a lot of people tweeting me about this like the moment the update went live, this is Sleight of Hand. The Sleight of Hand weapon perk is currently not working at all on Modern Warfare guns, so if you're using the Sleight of Hand weapon perk, at least at this point, I would switch to something else until they end up getting this fixed. As for the next weapon perk I tested, this is Frangible Wounding. This is the one that's meant to delay healing time when you deal damage to an enemy player. And I put this one to the test as well, and I put it side by side for you guys right here. And as you can see, the health regen triggers at the exact same time with or without the Frangible Wounding perk, and therefore this is also broken. Then after that, I wanted to test Presence of Mind. This is the one with sniper rifles that allows you to hold your breath for an entire minute, or at least before this patch it was an entire minute. And we can see it is definitely no longer a minute. This one broke as well, and therefore you definitely want to avoid this until they get this fixed. After that, I tested Recon, and as you can see here, with or without Recon with an SMG in my hand, the distance at which that name tag will appear on an enemy target that you're aiming at is still 50 meters, so Recon is also broken. Then I tested Frangible Disabling, which is the one where if you shoot an enemy player in their leg, then they will get sort of a stun effect. This one is also still working after this update, so that one is not broken. Then I tested Fast Melee, and this one is working. It does almost nothing though, but that's normal. Like, it really only changes the time between hits by like a couple frames, but it is technically working and doing what it's supposed to do. And I also tested Heavy Hitter, which doesn't appear to be working at all based on my testing. So yeah, that's a list of weapon perks that I tested so far, because those are the main ones, and those are the ones that really require some testing to really see if they're broken or not. It is worth noting with this, they have mentioned this on their Trello board, so the devs are aware of this, and there is a fix scheduled. We just don't know exactly when that's going to be coming. I would assume probably with the next title update. Now, moving on to the next thing that was broken with these updates, this is the Finn LMG with the adverse barrels. Now, the adverse barrels are meant to significantly boost your fire rate, and they were working just fine before last week's patch. However, the patch just broke the Finn adverse barrels, and they no longer do anything to your rate of fire, so stay far away from the Finn with adverse barrels until they get fixed. And on top of this with the Finn, they also screwed something else up, and this is the Chainsaw Stock, which is the one that turns this into like the chainsaw from COD Ghosts. And with this, they just changed up the camera positioning or the way the rigging works or something where your hand is now completely blocking the center of your screen, which effectively makes this attachment useless after this update. Now, we're almost through the list here, but there's another big thing that people discovered, and this is for the Modern Warfare sniper rifles. The variable zoom optic no longer gives any glint at all, and that's not supposed to be happening, and that's not how it was working pre-patch. Normally with Modern Warfare guns, anytime you have an optic that has a magnification over 4 times, you end up having a visible scope glint, whereas anything under 4 is no visible scope glint. After one of the updates, it might have been the initial mid-season 2 update, or it might have been the hotfix that happened earlier this week. We don't really know. This was just discovered earlier this week though. The variable zoom optic on Modern Warfare sniper rifles and marksman rifles, this applies to the Kar 98 and SPR as well, it gives no scope glint, and it should be giving scope glint. Now, I did go ahead and test every single scope that you can use with sniper rifles in Warzone on Modern Warfare guns, just to be extra thorough here. And it turns out the variable zoom optic is the only one that is affected by this. So all of the other scopes that are higher than a 4 times magnification, they will still give you scope glint, just not the variable zoom. So at least for now, it is definitely in your best interest to be using variable zoom, unless you want like a really fast and snappy aim down sight time, because the variable zoom optic will hurt your aim down sight time a good amount. Now, just like with the Modern Warfare weapon perks, this has been acknowledged by the developers. They are aware of this, and therefore there will likely be a fix for this in the not too distant future. And that pretty much covers it for all the things we know about so far that were broken weapon and attachment wise with the mid-season 2 update. However, there is one other thing I wanted to just tag onto this video because it's not worth making an entire video about. This is flinch resistance on Cold War weapons. You guys may have noticed that for a couple of the rear grip attachments, it says that it gives you flinch resistance. And the testing on this was done a long time ago when the Cold War integration happened, and it was confirmed that this just didn't actually help with your flinch resistance at all. However, with the mid-season 2 update, they fixed the rear grips when it comes to aim down sight time, so they're actually helping with aim down sight time instead of hurting you or just not doing anything at all, which is nice. And this has raised the question, did they also fix flinch resistance? So I did do a quick test on this one as well, and it appears flinch resistance is still just a non-existent stat for Warzone. So don't bother using those rear grips just for their flinch resistance because it's just not doing anything for you. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's quick recap video. If you guys have heard of anything else that is broken, weapon or attachment-wise, since this recent update, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if there are some more changes, I'll be sure to pin them in a comment, and I'll just keep adding to that as you guys keep adding it to the list. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.